Welcome! Today, I'll be showing how the EXAScaler data intelligence platform supports multi-tenancy. EXAScaler has always had strong capabilities with regard to the networking it supports, and EXAScaler multi-tenancy takes advantage of this. By using VLANs, along with Exa's ability to divide its data space up into secure partitions, we now have the ability to create a secure multi-tenant environment. For additional security, we've also implemented client access controls to prevent unauthorized access to a tenant's data. And finally, we've also put in capacity management controls in the form of quotas, allowing you to flexibly allocate space to tenants depending on your requirements. Let's show you how simple it is to set up Exa multi-tenancy and get it running. So now, let's demo. We start by looking at the network configuration. We've already configured our network for VLANs. We have 8 IP addresses in pairs. The first 2 are for intra-cluster networking, and the next pairs are for each tenant. Each tenant will map to 2 IPs, so we have multiple connections to each VLAN for multipathing and high availability. MLX is the network card and ports. The 2 ports EN0 and EN1 each have VLANs and LNETs associated with it, with the number after the dot being the VLAN tag associated. The next step is to turn multi-tenancy on. You can see in the EMF settings that there is no entry, but with one simple command it updates the configuration, and then with the EMF install command it can then sync the configuration across the entire cluster. At this point, you can verify this by seeing that the tenant command is now available. Once this is done, all clients that do not have their IPs registered with the tenant and are not on the appropriate VLAN will no longer have access to the system because we have a VLAN isolated tenant network. We'll go to the client and grab the IP address so we can add them after we create the tenant. We'll do this for one client, and I've already done this for a second one already. The next step is to create the tenants. Just a simple EMF command, and we can see that tenant 1 has been created. We'll repeat the command and create tenant 2 as well. As you can see at this time, no quota has been assigned to these tenants. Now we're going to assign quotas to each of the tenants. In this case, we're going to do a 10 terabyte hard quota, which means that the system will stop writing data once it hits the 10 TB limit. The system also has soft quotas, which we'll show a bit later. And now you can see the quotas have been set with the 10 terabyte limit, but no capacity has been used. Now we'll add the client IP addresses that we grabbed earlier to allow the clients access to the respective tenants. The clients now have access to the tenant and can start storing data. We'll use fallocate to create a test file 10 terabytes in size. We can see that the quota is now fully used up. If we go back to the client and write in another small set of data, we see that the hard quota is enforced and that the write errors out. Now we'll go change the hard quota to a soft quota. Note that this is done on the fly online while data is being served to clients. Now that that's done, let's go write a second test file. As we can see, the write now succeeded. Let's examine why an admin may want to choose hard versus soft quotas. With hard, the tenant has strict limits, and the total capacity of all tenants can never exceed the capacity of the cluster. This provides precise control over the environment. However, as we've seen in the real world, many tenants demand a certain capacity, and many times they never hit that limit. That means that there can be wasted excess capacity in the system. Soft quotas, on the other hand, allow you to let tenants use the shared capacity by over-allocating the quotas versus the actual capacity available. This requires some trust that a tenant won't use all the free space, and that will then impact the other tenants. But it can also allow for less waste in the system. You can also do a hybrid where each tenant has a soft quota and then a larger hard quota, giving some leeway if needed, but also having that hard stop so they don't run away and consume all the free space in the system. As we've shown in this demo, multi-tenancy on EXAScaler is simple to set up, provides robust security and isolation, and with quotas, can provide economic flexibility for how you manage your multi-tenant environment.